there was that we could tell some old, embarrassing, or ridiculous high school stories. Because I know you think that we're all very youthful because we look so young and lovely. But actually, most of us have been out of high school for close to a decade, or just over a decade, or just under a decade.
Or a lot
now.
longer.
Mm-hmm. Or longer. So it's comfortingly in the past.
Yeah.
We can laugh about it now. So let's laugh about it, and you can laugh about it with us. Who has a high school story they would like to share? I should have brought in my old journals.
Oh.
I have them now.
So are they specifically embarrassing?
Well, I mean, it's better if they're
Entertaining. I think entertaining is the key word, whatever that may mean.
I have a good short. It's not very long, but when I was in high school, Tally, if you can believe it, I was kind of a troublemaker.
No. You? I always pictured you as the sweet little A+ girl with her hair and pigtails saying nice things to everyone.
Oh no, that was me.
So when I was in high school, now this is, I went to kind of a tougher high school up in northern British Columbia, and we had, and this seems ludicrous now, but it wasn't that long ago is the thing. We had what we called a smoke pit where all the kids would go and smoke on school grounds.
Yeah, that's
And it was like officially sanctioned.
It was officially sanctioned. I don't think they have them anymore.
not normal
honestly.
anymore.
It's not normal anymore, but like, we'll say.
Oh, they have them. They're just not officially
Yeah,
sanctioned.
not official.
Yeah, but so anyhow, now I guess even back in those times, they had realized that we should probably be providing an officially sanctioned place for teenagers to smoke, considering they can't even buy cigarettes on their own. So they decided that they would move the smoke pit off school grounds. Now there was. So they wanted to move it across the street, but the problem being the place where they were going to move it to was like a little public patch of area of like grass that was kind of like the bottom of the hill. So you know there was a place to stand, but you had to cross the street. There was no crosswalk there, and to stop and to make sure that kids weren't going to get anything up to anything untoward, they're going to cut down this little patch of forest that you could walk through to get there. And then now, like I said, this is a tough forest, and it was called Magic Forest. I'll let you guys fill in your own reasons about what people happen to be smoking in there.
Well, they just are playing Magic the Gathering, right?
Yeah.
It's like where you go to play the game.
Yeah.
Sure, okay. So anyhow,
Obviously in high school, I don't know.
Right, yeah.
being a troublemaking young girl and a committed ideologue, I was annoyed that I would have to. I didn't even smoke at this point, but my friends all did. So I was annoyed I would have to cross the street to hang out with my friends at lunch, to give you an idea of what kind of bad kid I was. And I was annoyed they were going to cut down all the trees, which really hadn't done anything wrong. So me and my friend, her name was Bev, but she actually went, or like Beverly, but she actually went by Salem because that was much cooler.
Yeah.
She dyed her hair black.
I love it.
We were very cool in high school.
Clearly.
I wore like lots of like ripped jeans and stuff like that because I like thrift
This is
store
cool.
clothes from Value Village and stuff like
Remember
that.
when baggy pants were in?
I think that's
I wore
what
those.
What was I thinking? I'm just thinking of old pictures of me in high school. I must think I look amazing. I thought I looked great.
That's the thing we should probably make plans for. Everybody has to bring one in next year. It's a
So-
great
that would be
challenge.
good.
Yep.
These pictures full surface.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had cornrows.
I'm sure Chad's like,
I had
we're
hair.
Not
finding
proper
them.
real ones, but when I was growing my hair out, it was the only thing I could think of to do. It was probably ridiculous, but I didn't know I'd do any of this stuff.
So Bev and I decided that we would lead a protest, and we made signs. We like got cardboard from like a store like a few blocks from my house that were just like throwing out boxes, and we like colored them in and like little like cartoon trees. I was very proud of them, and it said like I don't smoke, white cut me down ? And stuff like that. And I baked cookies because I was not very good at being a bad kid.
You're like the most
Protest cookies.
adorable bad kid.
Well, I was very politically minded. I also in high school made a zine with unflattering, a zine, because this was back in those days.
Yeah.
It was the late 90s. And I was young and idealistic. I thought those kind of things would get things done with unflattering caricatures and nicknames for all of the vice principals and principals at our high school.
Oh, I
would
did
pass it
those
out
about
to
our
people.
teachers. I drew little comics, like stick figure comics of everything that was wrong with my least favorite teachers. I have them somewhere in a notebook. I drew instead of paying attention in class.
And I was a peer mediator and a teacher's pet.
Oh, Taro, we would have been like natural enemies.
Probably.
But anyhow,
The desert bus
So-
brings us together.
so I made these signs, I made these cookies, we went out and we're all like, protest, protest, woo! And the protest very quickly got out of hand. And because high school students do not care so much about the peaceful protest process as much as they care about not being in class.
Yes.
And it got out of hand, and at some point, someone decided to march on the school district offices. And
Nice.
anybody,
Wow.
yeah. So we marched all the way. And this was like 15 blocks. It took us a long time to get there, but
Is that
there
the
was a
entire
rival
length
high
of the
school
town?
like right next to school district offices that Cam went to, although we didn't know Cam at the time. And I remember that at some point, this long stream of like 200 kids decided to go through Dutchess Park and kind of like, woo, on our way to the school district offices because it was next door. And I remember very clearly running through a grade 8 gym class who was playing basketball and screaming, "Anarchy now!"
Yes!
As this, like, befuddled 13-year-old kid, like, dropped a basketball slowly out of shot. And this stream of kids ran through.
It's like
So
throwing
it sounds like
cookies.
an episode of something.
No, it made the news.
Oh my god.
Wow.
And then what happened was we get to the school district office and some kid climbs on the roof and they're screaming, "Woo! Stop oppressing us!" And then school district officials come out and they're like, "Who started this?"
As we would be now.
And my friend Bev is like, "Rah, rights and democracy," and I'm just like, I'm just gonna fade into the woodwork right about now and get back to class. So I kind of saunter in the last block, and I'm like, to my English teacher who was retiring that year and did not give a single bus. And I'm just like, "Hey, what's up?" And he's like, "Where were you?" And I was like, "At protest." And he's like, "Carry on." And that was, that made the news. That's
That's
amazing.
pretty cool.
Excellent.
That was my
Anarchy now, Devere.
Did that succeed in any way?
No, they accomplished nothing.
I made
They
the
cut
news in
down the
high
little
school.
forest? And
No, they did not cut down the magic forest.
No.
Damn, there you go.
There you
It
go.
worked.
Kate, how did you make the news in high school?
I made the news in high school because I was more of a troublemaker than Kathleen.
Whoa.
What?
Truth be told. I had some of the same ideological issues though. For sure.
Ideologies.
For sure.
Come on, 13-year-olds.
Anarchy was important.
It really is to every teenager when it comes right down to it.
So I discovered, and I'm not going to tell you how because I promised I wouldn't, how to make magician's powder in grade 9.
Oh, like flash powder?
Like flash powder.
Okay, see, I would have paid attention in science class
And,
if we'd been doing that.
Flash powder, well, it was a lot of fun.
I totally thought that was a code word for a drug for a second. I knew
No,
how to
no,
make magician's
it was
powder.
magician's flash powder, and
No, Serge, you can find
I'm
out
not
how
going to
we do
mention
that.
the ingredients because one of them is very dangerous and shouldn't be played with by children.
Crystal meth.
Or adults.
Or anyone.
See, when I was,
Or anyone.
I don't know about you here, but when I was a kid, because I grew up in the States, and this is actually still true, you could just go buy fireworks places. I mean, I think you have to be 18 or whatever, but we'd set them off like on July 4th and everything at home, which was awesome. And you'd get those little ones that make the bang. They probably have some similar things.
Well, see, unlike
Sort of
Kathleen,
thing.
who liked to be at the front of the pack, I really had a good understanding of minions.
Mm.
You know? That a minion was the way to rock out. Really, you needed a couple of minions. They just had to be somebody that liked you a little too much, willing to go a little further than the average Joe.
I didn't have any of those people.
You didn't have minions?
Somebody
Oh,
with a
I-
low sense of self-preservation.
There were not
I
people
had,
in
I
high school who
had
liked
people
me
with
too
low
much.
sense of self-preservation. Yeah, I had some minions. So
Nice.
I had my minions acquire the appropriate
I
chemicals.
think maybe I was a minion. Uh-huh.
You may have been. And then I took all the chemicals home and embarked on my scientific process to make magician's touch powder with no recipe and only the very basic rudimentary understanding of what I was actually
And
doing.
no safety goggles, I'm sure.
Oh, of course not. No.
This actually sounds legitimately terrifying.
So
Do not try this
I
at
discovered that touch powder or flash powder is incredibly stable when it's wet. So as long as it's wet, nothing's going to happen. But as soon as it dries, it explodes with a big bang and a big puff of red smoke. So I make my first batch, and I'm not really sure I've made it correctly, right? Because you don't really know.
I'm scared. I know that you're alive right here.
So I finally let a part of it dry out and get dry, and I lean over and I touch it the first time, and it is so loud and there's so much red dust. I'm almost deaf, and I'm sure I laughed evilly. I'm sure I did. I'm sure I did. So then I took it in little, airtight containers into the school. Because what are you going to do with touch powder but, have a good time with it? So I gave half of it to my girlfriend and half of it to myself, and we proceeded to spread it around various places in the high school.
Oh my god.
Oh, this is awful.
Oh my god, I wish we had been friends.
And watch it dry out. So
Yes! Yes!
And I'm like, you would be in so much trouble.
Kathleen, the true part of this story, this is true, and you will enjoy this the most. So the first person we pranked was the one guy who had dated both of us at the same time.
Whoa. He deserved it.
He got it first.
Yeah.
So we lined his locker. Yeah. And we waited, and we waited, and we waited, and then it went boom! And then they called the police.
And the fire department.
And the bomb squad came.
Uh-oh.
So like he opened his because it doesn't activate until somebody like touches it, right?
Correct.
So he opened his locker and exploded.
And it
his
went
face.
boom.
Whoa.
Oh, but it doesn't hurt anything. So that's the part maybe you're not
Light and
understanding.
smoke, right?
It's just smoke and mirrors, just like the game. There is no real injury. It's within itself that it explodes. So, the TV station's there, the cops, the bomb squad, and I've still got a big jar of this stuff in my locker.
Uh-oh.
And they're starting to do locker searches.
Of course they are.
And I'm like, I'm in trouble.
You're like, I gotta ditch this.
But I'm a girl who gets reasonably good marks in school. So they didn't search my locker.
Yeah! Misandry. Yeah.
So in order to get rid of the last of the touch powder, my girlfriend and I skipped class at our regular high school, and we lived in Toronto. So we went into Leaside High, which is downtown middle of Toronto. Dressed like teenagers, because we weren't going to stand out in the crowd, and we pranked that school all day.
Wow.
Wow.
We pranked the bathrooms, we pranked people's books, we pranked the library, and we had an awesome good time.
Wow.
Okay.
So then the cops were like, oh my god.
They
There's a serial
never
exploder
caught me.
attacking high schools around the area.
I think the statute of limitations has expired,
Okay,
and
so
I was never caught for said crime.
I still don't see the difference between that and crystal meth.
Hopefully the
Kate,
statute of limitations is out on that.
we're gonna go back to high school stories in a minute, but this transitions wonderfully